Intersolar this year was a lot of fun, and there was an incredible crowd, given that it's the first show, really the first large show of the year for the clean energy sector. It was wonderful to remind myself and all of you that this industry really is the sum of a lot of beautiful people. We are more than the sum of our parts, and this industry continues to thrive and grow. That was never more clear to me than at the networking breakfast the very first day. We kicked off the show, had a phenomenal panel, which we're going to replay here on Suncast, with Steph Speirs and some other wonderful hosts that were talking about workforce development. And one of the things that stood out to me about that conversation that I want to share is something Steph Speirs from Solstice said, and that is that as we talk about, discuss, complain about how we're lacking enough workers in this industry, one of the failures of our organizations is not seeing the recruitment opportunity right under your nose.
Not every company has an employee referral program.
Yes.
So are we paying our own employees? And if we can't do that, then we aren't going to bring in the talent our company needs.
Those wonderful people that you already spent time, attention, and energy to capture and bring in, your own employees. Far too few of you actually have an employee retention program that allows a spiff, a commission, $1,000, $1,500 to recruit their friends, to recruit the folks in the industry they know who represent great talent that can come to your team, or more importantly, folks outside of the industry, folks they went to college with, folks they go to church with, who are looking to get into this thriving, growing, clean energy transition. And that workforce development panel, the breakfast and networking, really kicked off a week that for me represented leaning in to the people that power this movement. And we just wrapped the 4th annual Solar Games that brought it all full circle. You see, the Solar Games is a brilliant idea Jim Callahan initiated back in 2020 to have teams compete side by side, all of the same equipment, and they have a $10,000 check at stake. First prize is $10,000, second prize is $3,500, third prize was $2,500 in cash that these teams were able to take home. So we just watched Aloha Solar and Michigan Solar go head-to-head in the championship round, really underscoring the fact that this industry is built on the shoulders, on the boots of these guys putting boots on the roofs of your house and mine all across the country. And that is how we've scaled the solar revolution. That is how this industry will grow, is by training well and providing good quality to these installers, both on the roofs or out in the fields. Utility scale and residential alike rely on individual human capital, not just financial capital. And that's one of the things that I'm reminded as this Intersolar wraps up, is that this is such an energy-focused sector. And I know that's a pun, but the energy felt in the room was electric. So I won't belabor all of the puns. I ran into so many folks, friends and new friends, who show optimism. And I got to tell you, in a year where we saw such a dramatic decline in the residential solar industry, some say as much as 80%, with inflation, increased interest rates, folks were generally positive and optimistic about what 2024 has in store. One fun announcement was that Intersolar is going to be doing an event this year in November. It's mid-November, so you want to check out intersolar.us. But first ever moving away from the western edge, from the West Coast, going to Austin, a growth market for sure. Texas is definitely the top market in the U.S. for solar. We look forward to partnering with Intersolar down in Texas in November. Hope to see you there as well. That's a surprising introduction on day one from Mr. Westone. Also on day one, which we hope to provide a recap of, or at least a replay, which we've recorded, Mr. Jesse Jenkins from Princeton gave a de facto State of the Union, a call to arms of why you should care about what it is that we are accomplishing, what's at stake, and how you can be involved. Jesse Jenkins, thanks for providing such a riveting presentation. We'll look forward to sharing that with you all as we get all of this tape edited from the show. On day two, John Zaranczyk gave great insight into the state of U.S. domestic battery supply. Can the U.S. keep up? Is it really, really going to become a market that we can rely on? We had a chance to step inside the booths of some of our favorite companies in the industry, got to know a whole lot of others, but the thing that stood out to me the most, and it was enunciated by one of my friends who was pointing to the waypoints, the way guides that Intersolar has on the floor. The one that was green sort of seemed to bifurcate the floor, where the storage, energy storage side was different from, say, the modules and racking and everything else. And compared to years past, the energy storage sector took over fully half of the trade show floor. There's no denying it. Energy storage is in its fast growth phase. Everyone from residential folks like HomeGrid and Franklin WH, Briggs and Stratton, they were all present, all the way up to the large scale guys like Infinity and ESS. Obviously lots of new folks on the floor as well, but I was so impressed. The energy and presence of the storage teams that were on the floor today, and I think that everybody I talked to was in some way trying to integrate energy storage. I think that probably the team that I saw had the biggest showing at the floor this year was one that didn't have a booth at any of the previous shows that I'm aware of. Maybe RE Plus, and that was Novatos. Jenya and the team really coming out strong. You know, it felt like a little bit of a smaller event this year in comparison, coming off of 40,000 at RE Plus, but the reality is that there were nearly 10,000 registered attendees. Don't have the final numbers of how many were here throughout the 3 days, but the floor was buzzing. The hallways were buzzing. The conference sections were also buzzing. Several of my colleagues remarked at how poignant some of the conference sessions were that they attended. Don't forget, more than just an expo hall show, there is a full conference. I hope that you'll check out also here on our channel the vignettes of interviews that we did live from the show floor, mixed with some of the roundup in this. Thank you for tuning in once again as we cover the events that are moving the industry forward. This time, we're at Intersolar in lovely San Diego, California. I'm gonna go enjoy the sunshine before I have to head back to North Carolina. We'll see you again next time.